Welcome back to Hard Hats and Headspace in different studio today. I'd like to welcome Steve Kerslake onto the podcast. That's a pleasure. I've seen you for a while.
Lovely studio. Lovely studio.
Amazing. Welcome.
Bit of tune table. We'll do that.
I tell you, reused
Sustainability.
absolutely.
Donated materials over there.
All incredible. No, thanks for coming on. We've been planning this. We have generally been planning this for a while, not more than 10 minutes ago, getting together and wanted to talk about what you're doing. I've been inspired by what I've seen on you guys and what you're doing. So do you want to tell people that might not know you, that don't go on any of my channels where I reshare everything?
So I'm Steve Kerslake, the founder of Construction Sport. We're a charity in place to provide sporting opportunities to the construction sector, with the benefits mainly being mental health and wellbeing ultimately. So I'm background a ground worker. In 2016, working on Crossrail on behalf of Costains at the time, put together a big walk. We walked the whole of Crossrail over 3 days, thinking it'd be just a general walk, not that hard, but 100 miles over 3 days actually works out quite hard. And on that, we hit a few bumps on the road, technically, so there were to be, pardon the pun. We realised that a couple of guys on the walk were having real hard times away from work. We'd worked with them for 3-4 years and didn't have a clue, but walking alongside each other for a few days just opened up this locker of all this stuff, really. And then it wasn't meant to be like that. It was, I knew from my own headspace I needed it, but at the same time, it was kind of, I selfishly did it for myself. But then the rest of it for the 3 other lads were just we raised money for Macmillan on that walk, because they were the charity at the top of the project. And then off the back of it, the benefits it had on us all individually and a couple of guys massively, I realised, Christ, there's more to this than just a walk for a laugh. And the idea was to get a company car and have a few drinks in the evening. And we actually, by the time we finished the walk, 12 hours walking, we all went straight to bed. And then funny enough, we come through Heathrow at one point. One of them got a picture of one of the guys. He's on the actual on the trolley. We're pushing him through it. He's in bits. And it went from there to the Thames Water project with Acon, Murphy's and Kia. AMK Deepham's was a sewage treatment plant, shit farm as they call it. And we worked there for a year, actually. It was the end of that project in the area. And then we didn't realise what it smelled like until you went to a new site with fresh air. But in terms of the civil side, it was amazing. My background in civils, and I loved it. I went from Crossrail, where you had to apply to carry out any permit to dig or anything 12 weeks before, to going on another job. And it was like, actually, we're going to get that 60 tonner and actually going to smash that up tomorrow. And you could change it, flick of a switch. And it was amazing. And then we just got on with it. And concrete was being poured. We were taking more concrete on that job than Crossrail at the time as well. A few of the days, some of the pours only down to 100 cubic meters were coming in. And that was my first real taste of proper heavy duty civils, and I loved it. And went to the project director of that job, Phil Hobson, who works at Kiers, or was at Kiers at the time. Said to him, I've got this idea, I've done it on Crossrail, it really worked. He was massive into his Ironman competition, so I knew you were halfway there. He's done a lot, he knows the benefits of sport and exercise. And he said, okay, let's run with it. So let's go with it, walk with it, shall we say. Yeah, we walked Acon's had a satellite office in Croydon, so we went from there to Murphy's at Kentish Town, and Kentish Town up to Sandy, where Kiers used to be. A big estate up there, it was amazing. I think they hit a few bumps a few years ago. And they had to go. But it was an incredible place. It was like a massive manor house with an extended bit to it, and tennis courts and football. We got there, and all the lads, all the engineers were playing football on the five-a-side court outside at lunchtime. But that was short-lived for them, unfortunately, at that point. But that again had a knock-on effect for a few guys there. And then Phil Hobson said to me at the time, Steve, I think you should look at setting up a charity with what you do it. Because he said, you've just raised £5,000 for this project, and we don't have a project charity at this appointed at the moment. At that time, as a charity, I think it's still today, you have to show £5,000 or £5,500 worth of funding coming to get charity status up and running. And this kind of hit that threshold, and you really put it towards you. So when I'm a ground worker, I'm not in trade. I always say it's not a trade, is it? It is technically, But I don't know a charity. I don't know how to go about a charity. But fortunately, one of the best mates had done a lot of work in the sporting world. He's a professional golfer, but he'd done a lot of, he studied golf at uni, basically. What a cop-off that is. PGA degree he's got.
Got a 2-1 in domino.
He had literally had to do a few mock charity stuff, but pretending to put what they call a project on a charity together in uni. So he had half an idea. But then his sister, Kerry's also out, one of our senior, main trustee, the one with the brains. She's in the heavy law side of Oxfam as well. So she really helped. And pulled them together with some good people and a few core companies that come and help back us at the start 3 years of that, and we got charity status just before COVID. So yeah, and then off the back of COVID, everyone went, "Cool, you've set this charity up in time." And yeah, was it because of COVID? No, this has been this is a lot. Yeah, it just felt at the right time. So yeah, it was a real good that blip of COVID. It gave us some real thinking space actually, because I've been pushing hard. In any way, shape, or form I could to get the charity moving. So this was 2016 to 2021, really, from the start to then. But then COVID gave us this, like, can't do anything, so I can just concentrate on what can we do. When we could do things in groups of 6, I put together walks every Wednesday morning for different companies, and we'd go do half a marathon walk, and I'd take out 5 of their employees, and we've done that over the course of 10 weeks, 10 different companies. It worked really well. Yeah, then it's just learning on the job, like most things really. How do we do this? Still am today, massively trying to do it. And before you know it, there was 2 of us. Alex come on board. Before then, Will come on board, and then Katie's on board. And it's like still struggling like we were before, but there's more of us struggling with it now.
Well, so, it is hard. I mean, you said earlier about, originally it was for your own mental health. But I think having worked with a lot of people in mental health space, probably more so since I've been with Mace in the last 6 years, you need that lived experience, or to recognise that experience yourself and what's worked. Because how are you going to go, oh, this will work for whoever, unless you know you've done it yourself, right? So that was probably the best catalyst at the beginning for you.
100%. I've always seen it. And I know if I go to a meeting and the person I'm talking to doesn't really get it or hasn't faced treatment the same way I got it, I'm just like, I might as well go walk out the office now. I'm never going to sell this to you because you just don't get it. And I've had that a few times. I've had it for more times. I'd like to say, really, there's so many of it. I'm just like, so now we have really, especially in the last 6 weeks, we've really, on my call, stepped back from everything else we're pushing outside of construction sport, and let's just focus on what we do, because this is what we like, what we enjoy, and we know we're good at. So we're getting results our end, and so we need to. I'll shout all day long about the things I do like and don't like. It's straight. That was still going. But at the same time, that's why I've done a podcast. That's why we've got 2 hours going every week. But it's only for the love of the industry. You know what I mean? It's like we hear so much, and I think with my background of being on the ground, and still to this day, we're going to take some walls down on Monday, in more ways than one. And I'm back on the ground, and we're very much in touch with that. And I think that's where we have flourished on the ground of this industry, because people realise, oh, these guys actually know the crack. And we run a business as well. I know what it's like not to get paid. I know what it's like to get knocked. I know what it's like to have to chase money constantly. And I understand from speaking to many business owners and being myself there, is we can't concentrate and support our own staff enough because we're too busy worrying about getting paid. And that's like the story I've heard from so many companies. And if we all got paid on time, we could put the right things in place for our staff, but we don't, unfortunately.
It's so true. I mean, obviously sitting where I do is in business. We do the pay others. And thankfully, I look at the facts that come out in terms of the payments. We're pretty good payers. In terms of time, we're worse. There are times when that's not the case, obviously, when someone comes into dispute or whatever. But I feel for tier 2, tier 3, the operatives, right? Times, ironically, a little bit less for the workers, right? Because they still get paid. I had this argument a couple of weeks ago. It was an argument as well on engagement meeting. Worker side. One of our subbies sits between me and the guy. We're getting slaughtered by these 2 lads. He ain't doing this, and I reckon he's having this. So no, absolutely no substantiation to this throwing under the bus of this person who employs. Fair enough, the lads, 2 lads came from our agency. Very good agencies. They're a few, I should say. So I listened for a while, and I went, so it's going to stop you there. You get paid last week? Well, yeah, of course we did. You get paid week 4? Oh, yeah, get paid every week. Got to do it, no. The agency's got it. They're your employer, because the PA were young. And they were like, well, we've got paid, also got to do it. He ain't been paid. Hanging out for a lot of money. Because it's in dispute. It could have made your employer hang out for a lot of money. It could have gone bust and you didn't get paid. You're getting paid. He's sorting out the financing for it. So they need to understand that pressure, of, which is not paid, lads get paid. But we always make lads get paid. Phrase, lads and lasses get paid, I'd say. And that pressure, I hear it, and don't have the time. So that's where the space comes from.
That's exactly it. And we've seen it in, like you say, I went out with this anger inside me at first, I've calmed down a little bit over the years. It's controlled anger now, shall we say. It's calculated in a way I like to think. It was very much like we're the people on the ground, you haven't got a clue. Anyone above us doesn't understand. The people on the ground are being shafted. But then I got out into the big wide world and went in these big boardrooms and sat down with people. And then I really noticed this is everybody. This is, director level to directors of all supply chains, and the stresses and what's felt by these people with white collars on is just a different form of stress to what the people with blue collars feel. And the statistics obviously are what they are, but there's a reason why this big scary word of suicide affects people at all levels and all abilities, really. And we've seen it, we hear it firsthand. We have ways in which people report to us now to tell us stuff, and we speak with the families who have been affected, all this stuff, and it's kind of the people who are doing this are people from all levels. And that's why we realise, Christ, this isn't a trend of only the labourers or only the guys on the tools are suffering. This is people who can't live with the decisions of what's been done.
Can't be made.
Yeah,
it is. It's easy to fall into following the caricature of the boss, right? But it does affect people at every level. Right, living with those decisions that you've got to make. And whatever. And I never buy into, well, they paid that much money, they earn that much money, they could put with it. At some point, they put their arse on the line. As well. Why is it you can't, this UK thing, why can't you be successful? Why can't you be reaping the rewards? Because you all work to better your life. Some people just manage to be better in their life. There are those that very rarely appear at the top because daddy started a business or whatever. A few and far between, and even then, you've got to perform and live and die by your decisions. But you know what I mean. So it goes right through. It cuts right through. It's interesting, and I think when we look at initiatives, that's the wrong phrase, but work that we can do to help people improve their mental health, their physical health, to go together in the workplace. I'm not an expert in it, but I might spend a few quid on bringing someone in with. It takes it off my head, and I'm going to get thanked for it. Right. What I found I've been paid to done, and I can concentrate on this, but knowing that the workforce could be. And then when you turn up, I'm going to come look out the window and go, who's that lovely prick? Fuck off. I can go downstairs and I'll get involved. And
it's just like any trade, any skill, any supplier, there's people out there, experts in that field. And my theory is we've got a mental health crisis in our industry, what everyone has spoken about for the last 10 years that I'm aware of. We haven't invested any money into doing anything as an industry. There's a lot of companies, and I know yourself, Stu, have put a lot of time and effort into it to support it. But as a collective, there's a whole industry to go, right, let's all come together and do something. That's kind of where my frustrations ultimately lie at the moment. But it's just like, why net zero? Okay, we saw there's a problem, so the whole industry's come along, we do this whole net zero thing, or everything around asbestos. Okay, it's been asbestos. I was Italian then. Asbestos is very much been pushed because of the HSE. It's like they put their foot down, so everyone's having to.
You can feel it.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can see it, you can feel it.
It's physical.
And you're probably a good one to speak to, Sue, that the whole employment law, and obviously mentioned your expertise as well. And that's where I bang my head against the drum. And I spoke to one of the representatives of the HSE, and I said that suicide isn't recognised in the workplace. It's very much noted as a personal issue, and that's why it doesn't come under as a riddle, as according to the HSC's website as well. You can read that in there. It's actually there. People say, this isn't me being a genius.
No,
this was me waking up at 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning for the light bulb moment of riddle. I want to explore that, right? And then within minutes, it's clear on the website. It's not a thing. But my theory is with that is, I said to Mr. HSC, I said, stress is taken into account within the HSC, and that is built into the risk assessments and method statements. However, with a risk assessment or method statement, or whatever you want to call it, the set of RAMs, you've got to put in there worst case scenario and what you're going to do to mitigate that risk. And I said, okay, so we've got stress in there, worst case scenario, suicide, surely. And this guy said, I said, okay, no worries. One of my guys has just killed himself. What should I do? It falls out of that RAM. See what I mean? So it falls off of it. And I'm just stating the obvious. I'm like, well, okay, so that isn't taken into account by you guys then. And it isn't, and it's not their fault. I get that. They're instructed by government. But it is their fault from my angle for not pushing hard enough to make sure it is addressed.
How are you going to know for sure what the cause was? I suppose. That shouldn't stop them looking at it.
My Fiesta, Ford Fiesta, if it keeps on breaking, or a Vauxhall, should we say? If a Vauxhall Corsa keeps on breaking down, you're not just going to literally blame the driver. Should we actually lift up the bonnet now and have a look and see what's something wrong? It wasn't. But the industry as well. Well, I like debate. I've learned a lot by bringing this up, the Riddle thing. A lot of pros and cons and why it should, and reasons. We talked with Jack Rumble about on the podcast about it should be something else. I was like, cool, as long as there's something, because you can't rule out the fact that the industry does admit that long hours, working away from home, stressful conditions, time problems, payment problems, all these factors, the industry admits that is the problem. Yeah. But then when it comes to say, yeah, but suicide, yeah, but you can't blame it. You can't literally say it's the industry. It's like, yeah, but it's a big factor. It's a very, and God forbid it happens many more, but we've had cases come to us where someone's taken their own life because they've been bullied on a job, and it was only 15 minutes from this front door. But the family have shown we've got the evidence there to show he's bullied. It's in the work emails, and he's done it on the job in front of the whole work, the last middle finger out to the company. And we're like, let's put duty of care in place and say, did the way we treat this person, did it come to this outcome, or is this a problem outside? I'm blessed to touch wood, I've not been affected by suicide like that as a family. But if someone said to me, I'd like to think, do you want us to investigate why this person done it? I think I would like to find out.
Or try.
Yeah. Just if you are, because you always get left with that.
I mean, like any, if you look at the criminal version of someone dying, something's wrong, right? Can't always find out why. But let's have a go.
Yeah.
Let's at least consider, was it
a procedure in place? And
it was, it doesn't, you learn from failure as well as from success.
Yeah.
There's more from failure.
Yeah.
Because you get it right next time or you don't do it again.
Yeah.
Right? And if you do it again.
We learned a lot about the subject, and that is through a lot of failure.
But I think, we are, as an industry, you're right, there's all sorts wrong with our game. There's a lot right with it.
Yeah.
And people are scared of reputational risk and getting sued. Right? Predominantly. At all levels, right? So you've got to, or we as a collective, we've got to say, well, this isn't a witch hunt.
Yeah.
This is about people stopping dying.
Yeah.
On suicide. End of. Yeah. Right? We don't want to sue you, we don't want to blame you, we don't want to destroy your reputation. Unless you are a bunch of assholes that bully everyone all the time, right? Yeah. In which case, you got something coming.
Yeah.
And we get onto your alert system, but maybe that's something we could look at. Yeah. But it is just assessing, was it anything? And it doesn't seem, you're right, it doesn't seem to be anything. I've heard too many times, he completed suicide, or he died from suicide, or he killed himself, whichever the phraseology is you hear each time. And I suppose that's the sad side of being so widely connected.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of it. I really wish I did it. Yeah, but no one looks at why. I think I'd mentioned to you previously about the Over the Edge videos. It's filmed on a BAM site, and you look at this guy, and they're showing you all different signs in the video. You guess at the beginning what he might do at the end, and he just goes to jump off the side of the scaffolding.
Yeah,
that's all stops him. But his sandwiches aren't quite right, and his black ass screaming at it because he's not brushing the right part of the path. And then he gets told off for eating in the wrong area, and
he's a little hammers.
Away from home, you think, right? Because he looks like he might be a migrant worker.
Yeah.
Because he's living on his own in a little room. No missed calls from his family back home.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow. But he's only here working for us. He would be back home with that family. On his own. Right. So, okay, what made it so bad for him? Was there anything we could have done to help?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we want out of it, surely.
Yeah, and then
however it's investigated.
And I can see, especially from a whole, like you say, the legal perspective of, well, if we investigate this, we might open ourselves right. But then, like you say, we might also find the answer to preventing this later. At the moment, because they're not investigated, we have no trends or data to go back on. And I know Warwick University are looking at this heavily at the moment, and they're bidding for funding to look into further autopsy reports and that into over the last few years of what's gone on. Now, what if like 50% of them come back and say that actually turns out that 50% of them were directors of businesses and 50% of them actually have left notes to say that payment procedures or something has been a factor. And then you go, fucking, if we would have known this a fucking year ago, or everyone does know it, but we've never actually written it down, documented it, or I don't know, yeah, X amount of them were bricklayers and they just couldn't work away from home. And you go, there will be huge trends in there of those people, the signs were there. We never actually, to be honest, the signs aren't there because we ain't got any fucking data around it. And even the way, the ONS reports, and I always spoke about that with other people in the past, they don't factor in all the situations around it as well. So they're not that accurate in terms of the actual fatalities. That's why what we said about, we don't even talk about statistics or numbers, but we know it's too many. There really isn't a way of telling exactly what the numbers are, but we know it is probably like 10 times the amount of that actually die on site. We've got a big one, and I'm really passionate about it, and we're speaking to a few people in the background about the trauma support and how we can deal with trauma in the industry, because I know it affects fucking a hell of a lot of people in our industry. And I know everybody's going to get a phone call one day that someone's not here. And if you haven't been hit with trauma in the past, there's a good chance one day you're going to do it. And that could be as little from, some people react more to losing their dog than they would some of their loved ones. I know that for a fact. There's a few people. Or someone might cross the road, see someone get hit literally crossing the road one day and they don't expect it. Some of the stuff that's going on in society is some things can happen and trigger a whole year's worth or a whole life of events come to it, as you all know as well, as we spoke about. All this stuff culminates to that day, but I'm like, if we don't educate people around trauma and what trauma is and how to deal with it if and when it does go wrong, then people won't know anything about it and they'll be smacked in the face by it. And I know it firsthand, I've dealt with it, and that is why I'm passionate about it. But I'm like, what are we doing within the industry to make sure people know they're aware? And the military do it well, the emergency services do it really well. We're speaking to the fire brigade at the moment about a few things. But my theory is, and I've had this running with a few military people before, without their rifles, as I say. But I tried to make a few comparisons in the light of when someone loses their life in the military, there's an element of risk you're always going to have, obviously being in the front, working on the front line. But my theory is when these individuals give everything for king and country, instead of step on an IED and lose a leg in there. I've obviously not been there. I don't know what it's like, and I could only literally take a guess, and I wouldn't want to do any discredit whatsoever. But I could imagine it doesn't look too dissimilar to when someone gets hit by a digger. You know what I mean? Or someone gets crushed by a big digger. There's the aftermath of it is going to be horrendous. And very different environments, hugely different. Yeah. But in terms of, and if you look at our data, we had a lot of data sent over from the health and safety executive around it, and the crushed injuries and falls from height. That's not a tap on the head and they've gone to sleep, is it? You know?
No, that's...
Yeah. Then I always remember it. We were putting a window in place. I must have been 6 to 8 weeks into my first ever job. We put this big set of windows in a school, an extension of a school at Chorleywood around the M25. I remember the calf, remember it all. And so clearly, vividly, but my boss at the time, there was a steel column come down and there was no steel on the other side, no window on the other side. Simeon, this Bulgarian guy's hammering it with a sledgehammer. He's giving it not a sledgehammer, just a fucking decent hammer. And he's smashing this bit of steel to try and get a little bend in it to get the window to squeeze in. And as he's done it, the boss is just trying to adjust something, and he's put his hand around the column from the other side and put it there, and he's just gone wallop. And I always say it looked like a Quentin Tarantino film. So saying it just his fingertip, but the vividness of what that done to me that day. You look at it, so it didn't trigger me, but I can tell you every single part of that day what happened in comparison to any other day. So
it's traumatic.
100%. He's a right bloody mess of his finger. But and then I've got a real thing of even like the CSCS touch screen tests, and that we allow anyone to come into our industry without really being checked for a psychological or psychiatric position. And one clip online, it was my claim to fame. It got beaten a year and a half later, but and Middleton's podcast, we went on that. I've said just off tongue in cheek talking, I just said that we sign off the machines every single day, but we never sign off the driver. And my head behind that was, we can have a guy who's actually been, I don't know, working on the front line in the military world for the last 12 years. We get him over here, we stick him for a course for a few weeks or months, we stick him in a crane, and then next thing you know, he's listing lumps of steel across London.
It's Jim round here.
And it happens, and it is happening. there's some terrible stuff that happens in that, but I'm like, again, it's this duty of care, I think, is the one
Yeah.
I would like to.
I think you're right. There isn't anything on there. I look at how the tests evolved on the CSCS.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it now.
Oh, I was listening to that. I was like, I did not know that. And I should, but that's a different story.
From the fires and
Safety and environment test. Right. And we're funny. You need health and safety can cover the environment, but it doesn't need its own section. My opinion. Right?
Yeah.
Mental health does. And
Yeah.
well-being.
Yeah.
Health, safety, and well-being. Everyone else, HSW, HSW.
Yeah.
Apart from when you're doing a test for your skills card.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about environmental stuff.
That's almost see that in the ESG box now, isn't it, in a way? Yeah.
An induction.
Yeah.
Remember, the same as the last job, don't mix your hazardous and non-hazardous wastes, right?
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Have you, how are you?
Yeah.
In some way, I'm sure you can get some sort of wonderful psychologist like Nancy or whatever to write a bit in the CSCS test that just looks at you, spotting the signs in the people you work with.
Yeah, well, this is it. We hired a retreat out. We booked in 30 places at a retreat just recently. We had half girls, half guys with them. And we went those breathwork exercises. It was the first hour of it. We went for a walk. There was about a 2 or 3 mile walk that we all went on as a group around this massive farm, all this farmland. It was beautiful. It was a lovely day. Then come back, and then these people who do this breath work come in to do it, and we just laid on this like big teepee thing. And we all laid down, blindfolds on. Yeah, we all signed for it to say we were happy. Or we all signed a disclaimer on that. And then I went, has anyone actually read it? Classic. There's like a set of rounds. And then she went, well, now we put blindfolds on. What's going to happen? And I was like, I don't know, but we've approved it. We just go with it. And literally we had big rail engineers in there. We had a couple of crane operators in there actually sat, and we sat there, and it was just unbelievable how we within 10 minutes, one of the guys literally said to me afterwards, he was like, Steve, in 10 minutes, I thought the ground was swallowing me. It was unbelievable. And then I feel my hands went tingling. And when I get angry, I get my hands start going. I'm not sure if that's what I can't something. I'm trying to control that. We start seeing this. Yeah. But my missus says, if you have far too much to drink, your hands go as well. So there's something in there. But I noticed within like 15 minutes, my hands went numb. Like the tingliness in my fingers and all that, just from breath work. Laying there, and they've got all this music on, and it goes back to like deepest, darkest parts of India and Africa, and even like the Native Americans and how they do all this kind of meditation and yoga, or all this accessing parts of the brain in different ways. And I honestly, there's something in it, and there's a reason why that if you look at any form of kind of treatment for people in the kind of trauma space or just people with anger problems, how it's all about breathing. Everything we've done, I had it myself. I got diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in 2010-ish. It must have been. I'd acid thrown on me in 2008 in an attack on a Friday night. And it was just around when Katie Piper, the lady, it was around that time. So I said, me and Katie Piper made it fashionable. Because after that, it's a construction humour, and to try and laugh around it. But it ended up becoming a recurring thing from the day. I'd never heard of it happened before. I'm not sure if Mum was before or after Katie Piper as well. But then there was a series of years and that was happening a lot. It was terrible. Construction, say that about the humour of construction. My nickname on site became Acid Steve. And I say it wasn't because of a deep love for house and house. Yeah. So, but then in 2 weeks, I think I still had the scabs, and then the guy supplied us all our material. Aggregates. He rang me up. Is that Acid Steve? But it was like a breath of fresh air. You feel accepted again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, but I got diagnosed with the PTSD a couple of years later, and then I went on this journey of understanding. And it was 2018, and believe it or not, it was actually 7 years to this day that I decided I got the help, because my cousin passed away 7 years from today. It's the anniversary of death today from bowel cancer. My little boy was born at the same time, and I was just completely numb to life. I thought, there's a start of life that I should be crying about, and there's also in a happy way, and then there's another life there was just ended of a family member who I should be crying for, and at the same time I was like, I'm just numb. And I always say to people, you see it quite a lot, but my dad is pretty 19, 20 stone, big London cab driver, loads going to his shoulder blade sort of thing, just no neck. I mean, he looks like, he's had his Ray Winston comparisons over the years. Big tough man, spent 40 years in a black cab in London, but he can't watch 2 minutes of Sound of Music without crying his eyes out. Like, it's just we are very much emotionally in touch in the Kerslake family. At this point, I was just completely numb, and I knew then, I was like, shit, something right in my head. So I went out on my own. I spoke to a company called Happy Treat, Mark Eastwood, who does a lot across LinkedIn, and we push him heavily because he helps us now with people who need emergency treatment support. Emergency trauma-based support. I spoke to them. I had 3 sessions with the lady that delivers the treatment for them, and I was back in the game. But the first session, she said, she went through all this stuff. Now, I was born an emergency cesarean. I was breech. I was £10 free, so it was a massive one. So I said, my mother never forgiven me.
Born 3 years old.
Yeah. I've only put on a stone since I've been born. But there was a lot of problems, and my dad was told there's a real nasty situation between who's going to survive at the back of it. Could be me, could be my mum, could be neither of us. For my dad, always saying that was always a big part. So I always, when I went from school not listening at all to then suddenly researching over the last 10 years heavily in my own space about my own mental health, then realised people were coming out of what in the womb of what happens as a child, how you can be susceptible to trauma later on in life, going all the way back to birth. And like, so I'm no scientist, so I'm not going to say, yes, it's the truth, it's not, I prove it, but I relate to it and I understand it in a way of this all. And this lady, I accessed my brain, should we say, in this first session. Yeah, it's amazing. And I ended up, she said to me after the first session, like, look, just be aware that come 1 o'clock tonight, it's always around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And it's only later on I realised that was actually the time the attack happened as well. So, but I ended up always waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning. And she was like, you're going to wake up tonight around 1 o'clock and you can have a few vivid memories. Kind of unleash this in your head a little bit. It's going to be fresh. So just prepare for tonight and tomorrow night. Might be a bit turbulent, but listen to these audios and you're going to be okay. And I no doubt, I remember the point going, what do you know? And that was kind of what I was like, and that's how I thought. 1 o'clock that morning, eyes open, and I was like, what's she done to me? She's in my head. And I went back and I was open, so I said, I can't believe it. I run for an hour, and I like to go for a 60-minute run. I got to the end of listening to this brief breathwork stuff. I got to the end of a run after 60 minutes, and I went, I've got some time on my hands. I might carry on running like Forrest Gump. And then, but I ran my second 60 minutes. I'd never done it in my life. And I ran a second hour, and I run my second hour quicker than I did the first hour by listening to this breathwork stuff. And it was all about controlling the breathing. And it all goes back to the oxygen in the brain. I was just sold by it then. And then I went on this kind of, this journey of working on jobs. I was a general foreman of on the Thames Water Project, Acon Murphys and Kia. I had about 160 people working in that area that I was overseeing and briefing every morning. And I just started touching on some of the stuff I learned from there to these guys. A lot of us do, and we've been through this journey. Even to the point of, lads, if you go for a crack and you're bleeding, if it's bright red, it ain't too bad. But if it's dark, come and let me know. I'll tell you what doctor's good. Which one's got small hands.
No doubt.
Don't go to him. He takes his watch off. And I just started dropping these little bits in, and the lads just kept coming forward to me. Like, Steve, off the record, I've got this. I'll go, just do it. And they'd come back a few weeks later, it's all fine. I did get checked. Thanks, pal. And that was just kind of...
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and he thought, I've just helped someone there. And I'm very aware of people do things for charity. One, because it helps the charity, it's good, but it makes them feel good. We're all selfish in that way. But the first thing you do is if it really hurt us all and we didn't like it, we would do it. So when you do something, it makes you feel good.
Good though.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why we're all for it. If we all keep ourselves, making ourselves feel good, the world would be a better place.
A big part of me doing this is, part of it is showing someone my position. Bloke, middle-aged bloke, middle-aged like that. That it's all right to be vulnerable. But also, I get someone out, I get a feeling that I'm doing something good if it does come. And people send you a message, great, I message you for one of your podcasts. I really enjoyed that. That was great. Yeah. How that will feel at your end, go, someone's listened.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Also, that you're weighing it up. So it's good for your mental health. And we talk about a lot of this within Race, about give it back. Yeah. It's good. So every person in the business gets at least one day off to volunteer.
Yep.
Whatever you want. Schools, tidying up.
Yeah.
Sometimes the clients are like, we need you to volunteer.
Yeah.
Well, fine. Do that. Come do that.
Yep.
There's skills events, football events, and you feel good. So it's good for everyone to do these, and it will be really good for you that construction sports do it well.
Yeah.
For your own mental health.
Yeah, massively.
Alex, and that's really important.
Yeah,
and
sure.
to not lose sight of that. And I don't know, in this country, we are really good at battering ourselves for not blowing our own trumpet.
Yeah.
We should, and you should. What you do with the podcast and outside, and you're getting offered seats at the top table. Sometimes it's you made a choice on when you're going to sit there.
Yeah,
rightly so. Comes from that. Yeah, it comes from doing what you're doing. You're very good at it.
Yeah, it's got quite fun. I think with it, it's just kind of. I think it is, and I think there is an element of, without going like the deeply emotional side of it, of there's a lot of people out there we speak for who aren't here now, and I think that plays a big part. You know what I mean? Like if and God forbid it ever happened to anyone directly close to me, it might come across a bit more aggressive. But yeah, it's just but in my heart of hearts, it's just like you can't argue with. And I've said a few things over the years where people say, "Oh, that's a bit close to the mark or controversial," but it's all based on facts, And then that's what like look past whatever you think of me, and then you think of the concept that's coming out. There's a truth, and if you look at the real core of it, it's because we're good people and we want to see the industry go well. And if we're not, and I'll say to anyone, I'll sit with anyone, and like I've been beaten up by the biggest people. Don't worry about that. There's not. But I'm willing to have a conversation because the bigger picture of this topic is so important. And we back at like guys and girls and youngsters and older people, directors to labourers. I don't care who you are or what you are. There's a place for you in our industry, and we want you there if you're going to be good as a person, not like just your job, but just a good person.
It's really important, I think, message for us to get across. Me with you, I'm doing it as well. This isn't about just trades on site. It's about our fellow colleagues in construction industry.
Yep.
Because when you're on the tools, you don't necessarily have to worry about the invoice being paid by the tier one or the end client.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you're the owner of the company, you come to work at a van or a nice car or whatever it is, and you've got the kid who's just starting out, not earning great money, deciding whether to have a coffee or get the tube, or walk and get a coffee, because things are tight. It's just the different pressures and the different things, and I've been at both parts of them. When I worked for the trade union, as much as I believed in what they were about, it was money wasn't great to live in South London. I think just understanding those pressures, and then we want to help. And it does get frustrating. And then there are days where you could absolutely rattle people. Yeah. I had to go to a funeral of someone who worked as a supervisor. I'm a labour manager, so technically for me at that time. Yeah. Really nice fella, working at T3. Working away, labour. Lodging away from home. 2 days before, he'd been standing up for me. Well, I was saying, look, I'm moving a tea break in the morning so that we can be more productive on this project.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm losing an hour and a half, and there's 110 of you on this job. Yeah. That's a lot of time. Right? So do you a favour, in the morning, clock on at 7:30, have your tea break straight away. I'll buy you tea, I'll put your butties on, whatever you want. Because it's cheaper than losing you for an hour and a half at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Right, because you stop again at 12. Yeah. Please, boys, just for this one. Yeah. Because it's so far. The other people is shit. And Paul stood up and this is actually an example in the agreement signed off by your union. So just get on with it. You're trying to look after your jobs here. Yeah. And I was like, she gets me. Boom, boom. Next night was a Scotland game. So he's a Scottish fella. He's a couple of pints after work, watching the game. And to go home to his lodgings, to cross the railway line. When it's this passenger train, lights, like a fucking roller coaster. Not a freight train. The orange light. Bang, took it. I was like, found out next morning, someone's around me at the bus too. We've gone where? His death. And you're like, it's just the trauma immediately for that of someone who stuck up for me a couple of days before, but also just someone and you work with, and your friend. You're like, wow, I can't believe this. We're all starting to find out at the funeral. All the lads from site, Stu, can we have some? Yeah, come on. Sure, I'll come with you. Yeah. Like, someone needs to be there from the company because he was working away for us. So I'm recognising already he wouldn't have been on that railway line if he didn't work for us.
Yeah.
End of. In fact, it was after work hours is irrelevant. So we go up there, fly up, stay in Glasgow, got a funeral, a couple of pints for the lads after. But we did, we did the funeral, I talked to your wife, and that's the right thing to do. We were as employer, we should be represented. I came out of there and I got a phone call from the HRD at the time. Right. Glasgow, what are you doing up there? I'm like, first of all, we're talking about this, and you signed off those flights.
Yeah.
And you don't do. At least give the decency to fucking remember what I've told you I'm doing. So I was like, well, how far do I go here? You'd being angry. I was like, I'm at the funeral that our business, they're representing our business. What are you doing this Friday afternoon? It's Friday as well. I'm in fucking Paisley, in Scotland. I live near Brighton. What are you doing this afternoon? I just went to Weaver. So I'm at funeral. For you. Representing us. Talked to his wife, and now I've just bought a couple of lads to the pub.
Yeah.
Because they deserve a beer. Is that all right? Yeah, sorry. I just didn't know, you didn't tell me. Fuck do you need to know? If you haven't got the time to read what I'm doing and read the email I sent you about it, because you weren't in that day, just stay out of it. I wasn't there or something.
Then my dad to one centre. McCardin, good guy. Welsh lad. I was on Crossrail with him for a number of years. After Crossrail, so that's 2018, we used to catch up every Six Nations, basically. Ring each other up and abuse each other. Because Wales has had a good few years, and England not so good. But and I always got on really well with him. He's old. He's literally my dad. I think he was my dad's age. I remember his van, Crossrail. Not saying that we were all having it up on Crossrail, but over the back of his van, we had fishing rods. So there was nothing else in there, and we went and I spoke to him literally year before last, winter before last, or spring obviously when the Six Nations kicks off, and I spoke to him and he said, I said, what do you think? He went, ain't looking good for us, Steve. He said, we're not the greatest position, Wales, all that, blah blah blah. And then he was flying to South Africa. He's come back from South Africa 2 weeks later. But his missus, he was die hard. He's gonna kill me. His missus will kill me if she listens as well. Cardiff Blues fans, huge. They went all over the world travelling there as fans. He knew all the players. They all knew him because he was 6 foot, 6'7", ex-Navy guy. He was such a good guy. I spoke to him, and literally 2 weeks later, popped up online. Craig, business partner, he said, "Steve, you seen the news on Mick?" Nah. I said, I spoke to him 2 weeks ago. He's dead. I was like, fuck. He come back from South Africa, and I think and at the time it was spoken about, he had a blood clot in his leg. He was picked up on, and he's gone to work on the underground that night, working on Crossrail, Elizabeth Line, just doing some engineering hour stuff. And I was not sure if he got to work or not, but he got home. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but he's fucking just killed over, died overnight. And you think, I had such a decent relationship with him, and we had shared many fry-ups together. And because we were the only two guys on that part of the project who both played rugby as well, so we just kind of a bit camaraderie over that, and it was one of the good stories. We relate to each other a lot. And and I went down to I jumped in the van and drove down to Wales, the other side of Cardiff, for the funeral, and everyone was in their rugby kits, and I think I put an orange jumper on just to represent the row as such, as a workmate, and there wasn't another person there like from the work background, and I just thought it's mad, and I thought, this guy, what a nice bloke, and it just repeated to me just how that we just come and go. And I know blokes, especially when we don't speak to each other a few years, we can go years without speaking to each other, and then when you just catch up, you're back again. But in my head, I was like, fuck, and in my head, I was just like, even his company didn't send anyone. Who he worked for, Mawson's, or whatever I think it was. And I'll tell you what, it's a winter Mawson's once, they never rang me back, so it was them, And there wasn't one person there from the funeral, like, of his whole career, and he'd been on the rail for 20 odd years.
Really?
Navy guys and military guys. I just thought, this is the construction world of who actually is going to be there to, I owe my 3-4 years of my career with having good laughs. I met him at Hornsey, actually, a Volker's job, and then we went, I think, I actually got the job over on Crossrail. He said, who are you speaking to there? Who's running over? Oh, come. But it just kind of shone to me. I was like, look, we've got to realise this industry, but we fucking kill ever. We go on, we're replaceable. And it's a hot, I know it's not. I know there's good people like me, you obviously speak about now, about going and represent who we are It's a company, but ultimately it's people as well, isn't it? So that
It is people,
Yeah.
and a company is only of any size, right? You rent your office space, your computers are on a lease or whatever.
yeah,
It's people.
yeah,
Right? It's
yeah,
a people industry at all levels, and just be human
Yeah.
about it, a
Yeah,
nice human about it.
Yeah.
We had a really sad, lovely man that worked for us at Euston, Jazz. He passed away recently, but he was there from the day I joined the project. He told me, he met me at the gate. Hey, Stu, come with me, like, work for Clip Fight. Really amazing bloke. Kind of epitomised them to me. On stage, quiet, got on with it. But you're like, wow, how did that happen? It's done. That was Jazz. So he worked with Perfect Company for that. And he started feeling a little bit ill. Like, it was proper smoking, as I was then. I mean, I've cut down a lot, man. So he was smoking, but I see him in smoking area. Hey, Stu. Hey, Stu. Oh, morning, Jazz. Go see him. And then he got poorly, really absolutely knocked me for six because, just someone who saw her every day.
Yeah.
And everyone loved him.
So it's a little bit of breath of fresh air for you, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like me.
So I'm sitting there thinking about this. I just heard, I'll ring him. So I went, hey, Stu. Jazz, you all right, mate? He went, not really, no. I was like, oh, stupid question. Oh, mate, so good to hear you. In the voice, thanks, mate, for ringing. Jazz, I just want to say you're all right. I could have texted. Even everyone's text. No one's rang. So I phoned up and it was blokes for you, innit? So we talked for 10 minutes. He said, I'm really tired now. And this was early in his diagnosis, and he hadn't told his daughter. Just told me and everyone aside. But I know why. It's not my story to tell, but there's a good reason why he didn't tell her. He did tell her eventually, and all is fine. Having that conversation with him, it helped me a little bit. So it's a little bit selfish.
Yeah,
a bit of self-care. So
Yeah.
not selfish. But I think just someone taking that time, being decent, not necessarily, I mean, it's client at this point,
Yeah.
and we just need to be decent human. And what I can't stand is when people say anything other than that person or one of the lasses, what quite a nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
I've heard people say, let's throw some skins at it in my time, and I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't ever say that. I'll sit and listen to the commercial teams in organisations arguing over clock records, and you're like, oh, fuck someone's week up you are. Like, do them in.
Yeah. We had one, I always remember, I was at Deepham's, and it was between certain members of the staff, shall we say. And they literally, right, things need to be changed. We need to go from like 300 staff to 150 next week. And everyone went, we can't do that. And I remember the Labour resourcing companies come in and went, you're going to fucking, we've got to go out and tell all these people that this job they thought they had for a few months is changing. They went, yeah, no, that's enough. And it was just like, and it just literally overnight switched. And that was in my head, just like, yeah, just literally now you got to go and tell all those people. And that is kind of just the way this industry is. And I get it. We are surplus to requirements, and that comes on the back of someone's judgment or decision up top, doesn't it? It's just like,
sometimes
it's the ruthlessness of it.
Yeah, it is ruthless. It is ruthless. Sometimes you can say, well, when it's built, right, you can't keep building something that's built. But that's rare. You know that's coming. It's when someone goes, yeah, actually, I didn't need you today.
Yeah.
So you can go, what?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And there is, and don't get me wrong, if you ask all these guys, they will take the self-employed option. But the security of that is a fact that, and I've been there, and they say, yeah, and just go, right, that's a sucker punch, right, I will go to the rub club tonight, see if I can find another starter. And you just go, and that is, I think, always any advice from my side, being working the freelance world, so self-employed over the years, was just keep your book, your little black book healthy. You know what I mean? Relationship. During COVID, I was going for every page. Costain's Aaron Ring passed away. There's a serious trend, again, I'll come back to that one, but there's a serious trend that I've noticed with good young people dying in our industry, and I can only put that down to the stress and not that there's more to it, I get it, brain tumours and cancers and stuff, but when you look at what stress does to the body, and look at these people who are dying young in our industry, there's a fucking correlation there. But I got it, and during COVID, I was working with Graham's. We did bridge repairs, and because it was structural, we managed to come under critical work inside of it. So we we worked through the most of the first lockdown. And then a few months before that, I was finishing off at Crossrail with Costains, and someone said Aaron's been diagnosed with a brain tumour. Fucking tore the project apart, let alone his own family. But I'm quoting this. I'm sure it was only a matter of months until we took him as well. It was fucking fast. And she said, right, let's do a golf day. And I'd never done a golf day. I don't think I'd ever been on a golf day, but I knew of them. And I knew that I had done a few of these walks together in different events. So I thought, let's try a golf day. You can only fail if you try, can't you? So let's go, and if we don't fail, we learn, sort of thing. As long as we go again. And I did. I went out to the whole supply chain, went to everyone, because I'd rounded everyone up for this Crossrail walk we done. I went to those same people, said, can we all turn up? We had a big golf day. We were auctioning off bottles of Lamborghini for like 60, 78 quid. Just to donate. Yeah, I think that was a couple of guys. I was trying to give a couple of some credit for it. It was on it. Law Club, a couple of their guys or something like that. But they were all bidding. We raised a load of money and we gave all the money to the family, Aaron's family. And he passed in. And anyway, someone else on the project, she said, Steve, if you ever need a favour in life, like, just here's my number. If you ever need a thing, yeah, what have you done? So there's me thinking it's right nice to have that in a few years' time. But the next year, like 6 months. Yeah, like, can I call in that favour? Is there any work going?
Okay.
Yeah, massively, unbelievably. And he said to me, no worries, you can go out to, you can go on this job. I'll put you down as a general foreman. He said, however, you're going to have to work as a ground worker. And you're also going to have to keep your mouth shut. You're being paid to do a general foreman as well. And he said, take that as a thank you from me.
Yeah.
I went on there, the ground worker. I ended up doing COVID cleans of containers and toilets. I was like beasted to take up these fucking manhole covers, what I'd been lifting in years and years. Motorway works through the night. It was fucking savage, and I couldn't say anything. I was being beasted, and I was talking, yes, boss. And I thought I'd just go shout, I need the money. I don't know how long this COVID thing's going to last.
You get on with it, don't you?
Yeah, you get on with it. And I got fucking arse handed to me. I stepped out of line one night, and it's almost like undercover boss sort of thing. You know, I wasn't, but I was just a bit like, I don't want to show too much of my cards, but it's clearly I'm the only person, in certain ways that you could tell that I probably wasn't just a ground worker. And then, there was a few people said a few comments to an engineer, should we say, in the racial category I did agree with, and kind of to show a little bit of DD. There's only so much.
Sometimes you've just got to.
Yeah, because the guy was actually he did get racially abused. A few words were said to him, and he didn't stick up for himself, the poor fucker. And then I stood up for him, and it turned out the two guys, good track record really, but the two guys that stood up against the tree surgeons. Oh fuck, that's never good, is it? These guys have got chainsaws. That's it. It'll be a fight. That's just yeah. So but that was construction to me. It was kind of like when your chips are down, you think, shit, what I got? Just remember, don't burn your bridges, and then it'll always be someone that help you out. And I went from there, and then that we had this 8-week blockade it was closures on the road terminology. Now I've done rail possession work, and I know the crack of it. Get there at 10 o'clock, sit in your van till 1, get your head down, download a film, watch that, go out to engineering hours, and go back. Then I went on to the highway side of things. We're meeting for 8 o'clock. I got there and we're starting at 8 and all. And I was like, what? I didn't work through till 5. Oh, that ain't engineering hours. What's going on here? And that is savage, the highways. And everyone said, Steve, take the trains over the roads, because at least a lot of the time trains stick to the tracks, but lorries don't. Yeah, and at night time, I wouldn't wish it upon no one, but I've got so much of respect for the guys who've out at night shifts, full stop. But that highway stuff, when you're getting cones, Arctic hit cones next to your feet, you know what I mean? It's just like people did. Well, you would know about it before you know it. You got you mean, and you see that day out. Yeah, and that's just the whole trauma thing of. I spoke to a guy on that same Joyce in the nights, and I got offered. They said, Steve, in a couple of weeks' time, I need to go into days. Do you want to do it, or does Graham want to do it? And Graham was like, no, I fucking doing it. I'm not doing it. You can do days. And he bit quite badly. And I was like, fucking all right, don't worry. So we're getting the paid. The same. We were both senior foremen on the rolls of things. So I said, I'll jump on the days. The money doesn't change. I've got a young kid at home. I'd rather spend the evenings with them until I get to work at 7:30. A couple of days later, she said to me, Steve, sorry. He said, I bit the other day, didn't I? And I kind of, I said, yeah, I've got that. So I'm never going to push you on it. Yeah, but you moody bastard. He said that I can't do days. I can't work days. And I was like, okay, no worries. I said, if your schedule says that. And he went, no, it's not that. He said, I can't sleep in the dark. And this was his thing. He said, I can't sleep in the dark. And I was like, okay. I said, that's honestly not a problem. I'm absolutely fine with days. If that's your thing, then that's no worries. And I hadn't even told him the backstory of what I was doing, because I had construction support running in the background, but he didn't know that I was involved with a fatality 25 years ago on a job. And if I sleep in the dark, I can smell it. And that was his thing. And I've had 2 people I've met over the years. who said the same thing. And I said, that's come the weekends, you got a few days off. How'd you get it? He said, I just make sure I have a few beers before I go to bed. And that is his thing. He boozes to get himself a sleep at the weekend, and then make sure he's up working the night. And this is someone who, to him, that was just his normal life now, and that he works out then. Good touch with. He's a lot older than me, but I'm not sure if he is around today. I'd imagine he is, but he was a granddad and all this kind of stuff. And they had all these things over the years. He's actually in your head thinking these people. Yeah, in my head, I was just like, there's so many of these people we're doing this for, and we've got to give them the respect and the voice that they need.
Right.
It's not normal to be like that, but to them, it becomes their normal. Yeah. To go like that. So I was like, look, we represent these people now. Like whether we think it, whether they like us, whether they want us to or not, we are getting enough information back from those directions that we are. People like what we're doing, so long may it continue.
Absolutely.
Until we're taken out. Not America yet, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think what you're doing is unique. I know it's unique. No one else will do it, right? In terms of bringing the sport element to it. I'm also working with some guys that work for Mace, night managers, Johnny and Matt. What they're trying to do is pretty unique as well. They're calling it Way. What about you? Because he's thinking all that. And that's how he always answers the phone. Or if you answer the phone, he gets in first. What about you? Oh, you.
Plugging his pod every time.
It's not fun. It's not fun. But lovely fellas. When I go on light shifts, the welfare's not good enough for them. It's not my opinion. It's a fact, right? The food. If you don't bring your own food to work, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like the offering's not like, stuff in a vending machine that you put in the microwave.
Yeah.
All kinds of no, right? And so Johnny's put into all that, and the nutrition and the hygiene and sleep and fitness. And this man is, everybody is bonkers. I've told him this, right, as well to his face and last night. And I love it.
Say Johnny Construction.
Yeah. I mean, he runs before he goes to his night shift, he runs the perimeter of the airport, which is so there's four. I saw the 9K or 9 miles, but still fucking long way before you go and do a night shift.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
And then he'll do another 20,000, 30,000 steps on his night shift. He's a construction manager. But also cares for every single person on the job. He can't help him. Self-put care. On top of all of these things he's doing and having mugs printed with "What about you?" or
I can hear him.
He's also very conscious of when he hears things about changing direction. So there was a young guy called Adam Taylor who worked at Heathrow and logistics driver, moving on to days. Dad of 3, sadly lost him to suicide. And Johnny and Matt were really close to him. And when they set up what they were doing, originally it was for Mace night managers, just to help them feel a bit better. And then, actually, everyone needs this. Everyone needs the physical and mental health and support.
Yeah.
We're wondering how to give as an industry. Physical stuff. I go to doctors every year for my annual checkup. They go overweight. I'm like, I've got a mirror. Right? It's the rest of it I need to know. But the mental health side and the nutrition and the diet side, actually, probably overweight because they don't really understand it that well. And taught it. Loads of people be the same. When you're working on the night shift, they talk about, I don't just have a coffee, man. Find a walk first when you wake up because you're dehydrated when you work, and then have a coffee. And there's things like that I've learned from him. So then the Adam Taylor thing happened, and those guys never got to talk. And they have a space to go to in working hours. So they're starting this whole, I talked about it previously, it's a safe space at work. I'm going to give you a safe space. Clients can give us a room. Come if you want to talk, if you want to talk. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. You can be in a place where no one's going to judge you. They're not counsellors. You might want to open up. You might just pop your head in. Actually, I'm all right. They're not going to chase you out of the room and say, no, clearly you're not because you wouldn't be here. Right? But next time they see you, they're going to take more of an interest. They can go, right, so you pop it in there. They're going to stop. They're doing that and helping people. Let's just hope that sort of thing spreads wider.
We've had, saying that on that, we do that with the trauma support, as I mentioned earlier. They've had 4 people in the last 3 years who come to us in a position where they wanted to take their own life. And that was up until Christmas last year. But then as of Christmas to now, so what's that, 9 months later, we've had 11 people this year individually, literally in these 9 months. Now, that's people we as a charity fund, it costs us £1,200 per person to get them through the treatment that we give. That's kind of what we do. We don't advertise that really, that we do that, because we can't afford to advertise it out. We're not funded by the industry to do that. We'd like to think people like the CITB, in terms of training people not to kill themselves. We'd like to think apparently that category's not there, but yeah, that's another political show to go down. But my theory is like, we know what we do, we know it works, but we haven't got the backing and support to go out to the whole industry. So that what we're doing, I could line these 11 people up, and they'd also, what they've done is made massive positive changes to their life. That, what you said earlier, previously to this podcast, was the figure. We said 1.2 or 1.7? 1.7 million pounds. Yeah. So we're going to use that now. So I'm going to times that by 11.
Well, that was 2016 figure. So
yeah. So say
2 million.
Yeah, just say 2 million, and then so there you go. It's 22 million quid we've saved this construction sector. I like to think.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we could get access to everybody, we'd love to. But yeah, we just kind of have to play it safely at the moment. But time will come. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Listen, you seem to be going strength to strength. I'm a massive fan and advocate. You know that. And we'll do more. We'll definitely more of these.
Yeah, 100% the alert app. So yeah, we're bringing stuff into that.
The alert app. Right. Yeah. So let's talk about the alert app before we go for
construction industry alerts. So yeah, we've spoken to a number of people and organisations.
CIA.
So, that's what we said. So we're because it was like unofficially construction sports industry alerts, and we said go to construction. It's CIA. We can act like that if we need to. Yeah, so we've got it. We're waiting for funding to come in to make it an actual app. It's a URL at the moment, so we can scan to it through a QR code. It'll be linked to all of our social media channels in the next couple of weeks. But the idea of it is we need a central hub to store all the data that comes into us, because a lot of it is through WhatsApp. We've got how many people across the WhatsApps in total now?
255.
Across all groups. 250, so people across our WhatsApp channels who are part of construction sport. And then we've also got Twitter, we've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got LinkedIn. We're all on YouTube. We're all across all these socials. Yeah. But all these socials have all got comment sections and inboxes to them as well as. Yeah. And I'm very cautious that if we don't check every single one, then one day we'll wake up. You know what I mean? So that's a big thing. So I was like, we need to have a place for us to go to. So I spoke to a few people. They suggested they want to be part of it. They're not too sure. Obviously, a few parted ways with a few organisations out there. We'll speak about next week at the awards.
They're all. Yeah. So I won't publish this till after.
I've actually got a podcast going on the day before and it comes up. So I'm like, we're not there yet. We ain't got to the awards. But yeah, they wanted to be part of it from the start. But then once we actually said this is how it works, they don't want to be part of it. It was fine. That's politics of construction. But we know that people can come to us, say they need help. We give them help. They go back into the industry happy and healthy. Posting, the charity, we're down to signpost. We ain't here to give support. So we wanted a place, but then also what's come out of a number of studies, there's a guy called Dr. Luke Hands, who's the Health and Safety Director for Ardmore now. Yeah, I just met him a few weeks ago. He's published he's done his masters in construction mental health. Wow. And he's got a huge, all his paperwork, 400 or 500 pages worth of his research and studies he's done. He come to me, said, I've got this, blah, 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 blah. And he then I talked to him about what I do, and he literally was like, everything you're saying you do is what come out in my research. I was like, happy days. That backs me up. I could have told you this, going to save you 5 years ago. So he's coming on the pod in a couple of weeks. Yeah. But with what he come out with as well, so I only found this a couple of weeks ago, but we've got the app now in place, or the platform in place to do this. Part of his studies was there is no data in the construction sector with regards to mental health and construction. There's not a collective, solid piece of data there across the board. So that was our fear. Was, this is going to collect all of that. But then on it as well, like observation cards or close call cards, people can let us know when there's scaffolding looking not right, or someone's got genuine safety concern.
I mean, I you like pictures.
Yes,
pictures.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing we've been missing. It's really difficult. So I am interested in this. The way we were doing it, we introduced doing it online through a QR code.
Yeah.
Because I found people weren't writing on the postcards.
Yeah.
A bit old school, right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to go and collect them and then walk back with a pen and write up. So we did a QR code, similar thing, asking for observations and improvements. And we went from none to 2 range of cards per month to 500-600 observations.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and indifferent on health, safety, on well-being.
Yeah.
Other,
Yeah.
right? Like at Euston on the old station, there's those 3 steps by Nero's, and one of the traffic marshals put a thing in here, and I've got a ramp in here. I'm sick of picking people's buggies up with their kids in. Because I'm going to drop the kids. So no, thought that. We've got a building next door.
Yeah.
But we're in the way. That's why there's no ramp.
Yeah.
So that we haven't thought of. I'm not
Yeah.
saying we wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Well, we hadn't by that point. But the traffic marshal did. So I'm sick of picking these people up.
Yeah.
But literally up and down steps. That came from the observations, you know.
You don't need much to deem it as a good story, does it? And we've got it as well. And what we found with it is I've had people come to me with certain things. Even a few of your colleagues I've been in touch with. And I've had the details on air, but I said, do you know this? These people have got on because of this. And it's happened a lot over the years with different people. But I went through a job, a benchmark scaffolding job, actually, just outside the city. Actually, not far from major headquarters there, between Liverpool Street and there. They got a lovely job there, big job going up. And there was a sign, and it's just come off the clip. One of the clips was holding the sign, pedestrian walkway sign above the head of pedestrians. It just come off, and it pretty weird. I took a picture of it, and I went to upload it. And I took a picture of it. I was walking, and I actually messaged the guy from Benchmark, who I know anyway, and seen it guy. I said, "I just let you know one of your jobs." I said, "That's just hanging off power." I said, "If it comes off, it's right above the head." I couldn't reach it, but it's above pedestrian. And he messaged back, "Cheers, so thanks." I'll let the boys know now, and they've gone and nipped it in the bud and got it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I was like,
That's what you want, right?
And it just simple. I said, "This isn't to stitch anyone up.
Yeah.
I just want." And what we have got at Construction Spelt, we've obviously branched across the industry, is we've picked up connections of pretty much every tier one, every kind of principal, every project in London. There's someone we kind of know. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if there's something there where we can help just by getting that message to the right person, then we're doing a good job. And I got it as a freelance groundwork, a general foreman, actually, because there was five foremen on the job. I kind of, if I'm not the last one, I would the last one be laid off effectively. So I was like, when they said about the close call card, then I went to town, and my site was fucking good behaviour, bad everything.
Important.
Yeah. I'm not a high achiever by anything in some stretch of emotion, but with that one, I went, putting these in is the difference between me keeping a job and not. So I'm going to go. I had on my briefing board, I took a picture of a Moxie, I took a picture of every machine that was on the project. I printed it off and I put it on the briefing board. Just made it, I'm simple-minded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to
Made it see 6 people on your side, so you have no idea what they'll do.
Leo Quinn spoke at the in the Institute Directors event the other week, and he just spoke about the observation cards about BT. He said, we don't focus on health and safety now, we focus on data, and that looks after the health and safety. Was kind of his thing. So but one way of putting it. Yeah, so it's kind of, if you focus on this stuff, and we've got a purpose, it keeps us in a safe position as an entity to protect ourselves, that we have documented. Because we on our side, we acknowledge it, we distribute it, and then we can close it off.
Do you anonymise or allow anonymous?
Yeah, you can anonymise. The person putting in can anonymise the project it's about. You can anonymise. It doesn't have to be. It can be there. So yeah, it can all be anonymous. So that's in there as well. So yeah, it's cool. And we get when we can see the categories and where it falls in. So we're going out in London. It's going across all our socials. So it's not a case of,
hey, how do we find it?
Yeah, so it's going to be, it's going to be on all our sites. It's on it'll be through our website, easy find it. It'll be something there. We'll still tell the boys, right, go for it now. I just needed to get through a busy period the last couple of weeks to do this. But when you comment on LinkedIn or any of the social media channels, if you comment to us, there'll be a link there. It'll come up, please report to this. And then it'll also be through part of the podcast. It would have advertised on that. And then we're going to have it on QR codes and posters on sites if people want it as well. But the idea is that people go, the theory with us doing it and not being a third party, some companies might want it, some companies might not. It doesn't really matter because their staff are probably on social media. But at the same time, it's like, if you want it on there, the idea of us knowing is we have built trust with guys on the ground because they can see us. We're talking, they can see what we're doing. And we will talk about the success stories, and we won't talk, we're not going to shout out online about these people didn't do that. But there's going to be a lot of it of, we found out this was going on in London today, not necessarily like knowing the companies, and if we're going to jeopardise anything. Look, we just realised in London this was happening. The ramp, there's a ramp. It's been done. Because if you go on our TikToks, and our TikTok absolutely blew up by just talking about the news in construction. So we're like, we need to carry that on again now. So.
I know. We don't maybe do a TikTok for this
funny world.
How many ways can I dance? It's me.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, 100%. We're out there spinning hats, and Alex has probably got 25 different roles aside from doing the podcast now as well. Even Will's getting it. And we need to expand, we need to grow, but without the support, we just need to.
I expanded by buying a Mac.
But,
Start. It's a start. I think It's really good and bad practice from them as well. Encourage people to give you good ideas would be my advice. Those can change the world.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we want this to be better each day.
Yeah.
The incremental gains. Matt Collins always talks about it. I did from Matthew Said, the ping pong guy.
Yeah.
But his book, Black Box, think about incremental gains. 1% a day. Just keep going, yeah. And that makes a massive difference.
We had with the podcast one as well, and obviously taking the multiple steps down forward with it. I went on a podcast during COVID, or just before COVID. A mate of mine rang me up and said, Dave, I'm doing careers advice for different industries. Would you like to come on and say how you got into construction? When you've got nothing else, you can go down the pub on a Friday, there's a start somewhere. But I went on to it and I spoke to about how I see this yes card, how I went to construction. And I said, but actually, it turns out I'm now in the mental health space. And I spoke about that. Anyway, 2 years later, somebody's gone on Spotify who worked at the BBC and typed in construction mental health, and the algorithm has pulled those two bits together.
Right.
Produced my podcast to this person at the BBC. They messaged us on New Year's Eve and was like, we're interested in speaking to you with regards to the podcast and what we're doing going forward. And then they literally said that I spoke to him. I went to a friend of mine, and it's on New Year's Eve night before partying. I said to him, look, I've had this email through today from this guy at the BBC. And like the email signature says BBC. The email address is BBC. I was like, do you think it's a fucking wind up? I said, what kind of idiot, fucking old weirdo goes on their emails on New Year's Eve? The probably the same sad prick that reads his emails. And
I was just going to say the same thing. You're fucking reading it.
Yeah. So I was like, you got a point. So I emailed him back. I spoke to him a week later, start of January at some point. And they said, look, we want to speak to you. We want to speak to these guys. They will remain us. We'll speak to them. We'll speak to them. And we're speaking to them. And you're like the fifth person as well. We'd like to come into this for the documentary. Are you interested? Yeah. And I said, what do you want? They went, the truth in construction and health. I said, well, the only way you're going to get that is fuck off the other four companies and do it just on us. And next year, it's done. We're doing it. And then they just done it just on us. And we had a BBC One documentary. It's on our YouTube channel now. Actually, we type on Construction Sport BBC. It comes out. But it went out 8 o'clock on a Friday night, half hour. It's called Made in England. This is England.
See it, yeah.
So that went out, and then overnight, people were getting back to us, literally just like, "Oh, you are serious about this, then?"
Yeah.
But that all came in my theory of our podcast. But lads, if we do a podcast every week, I said I'd done one for half an hour about careers advice, and I got onto the documentary at the back of.
I think this grows like.
You would have, I guarantee it already. There's going to be one person who says thank you for doing it. It's all worth it. Like, even if you're stressed out, not enjoying it, but you might be down for that. Yeah.
Each week, I've done 13. I've published 13 podcasts. One of them was just a recap.
Yeah.
1 week, right?
Yeah.
Every week, someone different has messaged me.
Yeah.
I think my favourite message, really, of all of it, came on YouTube. Ray Higgins.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he was talking about his son who is neurodiverse, autism. And then I'm sitting at home and my phone flashed up as a comment under a YouTube. And you're always like, and it went, oh, wow, this is my dad. My dad's on your podcast. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And all excited and buzzy. And I'm like, all of the messages about a podcast being good, or you've helped me, or thanks for saying this, or whatever. That was the one for me. Because that little kid's running around his house. I mean, his dad's on YouTube, and he didn't understand that's any different to, my kids.
Well, this is the equivalent of them being on TV now, to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we think he's on TV, especially now you get YouTube on every smart TV, innit? It was 72 inches of just this.
Massive telly, a little reel like that.
Yeah, so, but that is the things that keep it worth it going. Like you say, people will pull out a couple of little words in there, you'll change or save someone's life, and you don't even mean. And even though you're doing it. And I had one day.
1 minute you're doing this, and next you'll be wrestling Jake Paul.
Yeah, there's the goal.
Look, it's been a pleasure. I mean, you and I could probably talk about everyone else's weekend, to be honest.
It's been sort of.
So, thanks for coming on mine and helping me change my studio.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute.
I don't think much of your staff, but
I know. Well,
Brilliant.
There was abuse right at the end.
Yeah,
You've done well, to be fair.
Pleasure, Sid. No, thanks for everything, pal. I really appreciate the opportunity.
No worries.
Bye, Mum.